Hi guys, it's Jordan from B&B Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this Rapido 890, and it's based on the 2002 Fiat Ducato chassis. So under the bonnet, they're relatively simple, these particular vehicles. This being a Rapido is a nice high spec, but I will run you through what we've got under here first before we carry on. So we've got the engine battery here on the left hand side. Your brake fluid attached to the servo behind that. These pipes just here are to do with your air conditioning that this particular vehicle's got, which is a nice extra to have for this year of vehicle. Power steering fluid sits inside this reservoir here at the front. You've got your chassis plate for the vehicle just down here. Your engine coolant sits up here in this reservoir at the top. Washer fluid goes in this one down here with the blue top. Air filter sits inside this box over here on the right, and your fuel filter sits behind there over here on the right. Your fuel filling point is just behind this little cover here on the front near side. There's very rarely much to show you in the passenger side of the vehicle, but you've essentially got your swivel seat handle, which is this one just here, to allow this seat here to swivel. This one here, the driver's seat doesn't swivel because there has, it's kind of blocked in there. Your reversing camera that I've fitted is just here. Now it's on the dash just there because that's the type of screen that we've opted for. It was the only place on the dash that I could put it really without it blocking anything else. So that's where that is. Hopefully you'll be happy with that. What's behind there is nothing at all, essentially. I think it might be like a coin holder years ago. But yeah, nothing that you need, basically. I'll run you through the rest of the dash when we get around the other side, but I'm just going to carry on around this near side for the moment. So as you can see, we've got this massive, great big side locker in the vehicle, giving you access to all of your sort of electrical bits and pieces, which I'll just point out to you in a minute. But I will just say the sort of body design of this Rapido is that it's a double skinned vehicle. So that means it's got two floors basically. So you got this floor just here, which is the one that gets, the majority of the road, elements coming out. So water, salty water, all of that sort of stuff. And then you've got this secondary floor just here. You can see how thick that is, good quality, which is the floor that you actually stand on inside the vehicle. Now the reason that that's so good and so sort of high end is because you get that much space there as kind of insulation, if you like. So, it's like having a house that's got, the sort of raised floor and a gap underneath. So it's just all for insulation. Essentially just means that the floor that you're standing on inside isn't the floor that's directly to the ground. Makes a very big difference if you're going to go wild camping and things like that, anywhere cold. But there you go. Leisure battery sits down here in this little cover. So you can pop that back on there like that. This cable just here is the one for your solar panel, which I've fitted. So just so you know, that's what that one is there. You have also got another one running through and up here through there, which goes through to the engine battery. This here is your steady winder. So if you wanted to use the steadies at the back of the vehicle, there's the winder for it there. And a couple of extra bits of, maybe curtains and carpets and things like that. A few extras that the previous owners left behind. So we've got a couple of things in here. So the blue box just here in the middle, the Victron Energy one, is the new solar controller that I've fitted. Next door to that, we've got your RCDs and MCBs. So you've got your trip switches basically. And this here on the left hand side is going to be your battery charger. So all the time that you're hooked up on the mains, that charger there will be sending power to the leisure battery. So, again, still on the near side here, right in the middle, we've got this vent just here. So this is your Truma boiler vent. So anytime that you've got the boiler lit up, you will feel hot air coming out through the bottom of this. Condensation is quite normal as well, by the way. Doesn't mean it's leaking, it just means it's hot air, it's just got condensation. We've then got the hookup point down here. So the hookup goes in there, that'll give you access to any 240 volt appliances. and also give you access to using that battery charger that I was saying about. Having the charger on makes a really big difference because it means you haven't got to worry about the leisure battery's voltage, because it will always be charging at a high rate. So always handy to have that plugged in if you can. And your external TV aerial socket, basically. A lot of people don't use those nowadays, but you can if you want to. I was going to show you in here, but there's not really anything to actually show you, if I'm honest. This is just the bottom bunk. You can lift this bottom bunk up if you want to, so that you've got it out of the way and you can use it as a huge garage then. And then we've got the awning winder in here and just a few extra bits and pieces like this awning here, I think. All just stuff that the previous owner has left for the next owner. So at the back of the van, we've got ladder to get up onto the roof, the new reversing camera just there above the brake light, 4-bike rack just there, that's a Fiamma bike rack, and some more storage just down here. I'm assuming you could probably put a spare wheel in there. I might be wrong, but that's what I would think that's been put there for. So the toilet cassette locker is also here at the back. Thetford toilet cassette. This is the extra long toilet cassette, and really simple how you actually use these. All you got to know really is that you drain it out from this point just here. When you're draining it out, you should be holding the little yellow button there at the back. And then once you finish emptying it out, put a capful or two of the blue fluid back in here, and then push it all the way home, and that's it, good to go again. So that is as simple as it gets really on the toilet cassette. Yeah, so 890F, all in really nice condition that I can see. Nothing nasty about the paintwork or anything like that, it's all nice and straight. Just inside the habitation door, we've got the step switch, which you can see there working really nicely, as you should expect. Okay, on the off side here, we've got a few vents. So we've got these two vents here on the left, closest to the door, which are both to do with your fridge. So if you've got the fridge lit up on gas, like I do at the moment, you'll be able to feel hot air coming out through this top right-hand side of the vent. The bottom one here, by the way, just so you know, is just access to the burner, basically, and a few electrical bits, but nothing exciting, really. This one on the right, I believe, is access to the back of the oven. So if you ever needed to get to the back of that, then you got a vent there for that as well. External hot and cold water point. So there should be a point in the vehicle somewhere to plug into this, and then you've literally just got a hot and cold tap just here. Really simple. There you go. And then we've got your freshwater filling point. So fresh water goes in there. That'll then basically fill up the fresh tank and give you access to drawing water through inside. Just gonna have a little look, see where the drains are. So I didn't do the hub check on this particular vehicle, so it's all just a bit new to me. All right, possibly on the other side. Okay, so the next and the last locker that I'm going to show you is going to be this one here at the front offside, which is your gas locker. So you have got space in here by the looks of it for two 13 kilo propane bottles, but we've just got the two 6 kilos in here at the moment. The 6 kilo bottles will last you a hell of a lot longer than you might think. Anyway, so you've got a changeover valve at the top just there. So you can see at the moment it's aiming down towards the middle. That's basically saying that it's using both bottles at the same time. So you can do that if you want to. If you want to just use one side, obviously you just twist it. But anti-clockwise around to the left turns the bottle on. Clockwise around to the right turns it off. You need to make sure that you turn the bottles off before you start driving, because the last thing you want if you are in an accident is 30 millibars of propane coming through. So yeah, it's just really important. But that is the gas locker. So inside the actual cab, as I said, for the age of the vehicle, it's actually a really, really nice spec. A lot of the time on these chassis, I mean, it's very, very rare to see air conditioning, but also equally rare to see the electric adjustable mirrors and things like that. So it's a really high spec. couple of things that I'm just going to point out. You've got a little switch down here on the dash. Now, it says manual and auto. This is basically for the old, the original reversing camera that was on here, because when it was made, the reversing camera that was on it would have been a bit high tech and advanced. Obviously nowadays it's kind of just normal, but you had a manual and automatic mode, but this now doesn't do anything. I thought I'd leave it there because it's probably better than having a hole there. So just so you know, that doesn't do anything now. As I say, the reversing camera comes on just there on the left hand side. If I just put the ignition on, the noise is just the step alarm, but you can see there nice and clear on that one. Right, so we've got this switch is here, which would have been for the original heated rear window, but obviously there's no heated rear window anymore because it's been turned into a motorhome. That should be your fog lamp. We've got lights from here, and as I say, you've got the electric adjusting mirrors from there. Your washers and wipers are on the right hand stalk just here, and your indicators are on the front of these left hand stalks, one's closest to you. Full beam headlights is the one on the back. All right, so you can basically turn the headlights on full beam or flash like that, but your indicators are this one here. You got the 5-speed manual gearbox. If you want to bring the step in from the cab, you can do that from this button just here. Bonnet release handle is this one just here as well. Got a single DIN head unit up there, and yeah, the rest of it's all pretty self-explanatory really. You've got the hazard warning lights from the middle, little digital clock up there, but I think that's it really for the cab. So I'm just going to jump into the back end of the vehicle now. In fact, what I'm going to do quickly is just see if I can see where the drains are, because I should point them out really. Looks like we've got a drain here. That is a drain. Okay, so I reckon that we can get to the drains from inside. So just jump in now. I've got quite a few bits to show you on this one, to be fair. Again, I mean, it's not just the cab that's a high spec in this particular vehicle, it's all pretty high spec really. So I reckon, there we go. Okay, so the drains for this particular vehicle are in this little lift up hatch. Now it might be a little bit dark when I show you in here, but hopefully we can see that fairly easily. So this just here on the back, just here, this black part is the back of the tank. Water pump is just here as well. It's a shore flow water pump. It looks like it's been replaced at some point, which is good. The waste water drain off point is going to be that one just there with the big red handle. So if you wanted to pull that handle 90 degrees, it will drain out all the wastewater out onto the ground from that little gap that little sort of drain off point that I showed you under there. The freshwater drain will be this one just here with the little yellow cap. So you can lift that upright so it's facing us, and that'll drain all the water out from the fresh tank straight down onto the floor as well. Speaking of drains, the only other one that I need to point out to you is going to be the boiler drain. Oh, let me just turn around. Got on my knees too early there, I think. Right, so the boiler itself sits down here in this lower cupboard, that's just underneath the wardrobe here. So if I undo this, we can then open this other door as well. So the boiler drain off point is this one just here with the peg on it. Now I put the peg on it earlier. There you go. Right, don't need that now. So it's so cold earlier that it wouldn't stay up, but reason being that it's a automatic drain off valve. All right, so anytime that it gets down to a really cold temperature, it will drain the water out automatically, which is why some people get these pegs to hold them up, because obviously sometimes you want to have water in it so you can heat it up. But that's the drain off point for the boiler. If you push that down now, all the water from the inside of it will drain out onto the floor. Okie dokie. Right, so that's the boiler drain. and I'm just going to show you as well. Just here next to us is all of your gas isolators. So what we've got is an isolator for the oven and grill, the hob, fridge, and then boiler. So just turning them 90 degrees will isolate the gas from those specific things, so that basically the idea behind that is that if you thought you had a problem with a specific appliance, so for example, say you thought you had a problem with a fridge, but you were on holiday, obviously you don't want to have to turn your gas off and not be able to use anything. So you would just come into this little cupboard here, take this out, and then isolate the fridge gas. You can then carry on with your holiday, not worry about it too much, and then get in touch with us or somebody else to fix it when you get back. So that's the idea behind the isolators. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to run you through is going to be this control panel up here, which is just as soon as you walk in the habitation door. So the main on and off switch up here, pretty self-explanatory probably, that basically just powers up the whole unit. You've then got a water pump switch just there, so once you turn the water pump on, you should then have good pressure coming through the tap. Got cold water there on the right, and then round to the left is hot. So just very briefly, something really important to do before you carry on and start lighting the boiler up and doing all that sort of stuff, it is really important to do what I've just done there. If for whatever reason you turn the pump on and you don't get any decent pressure of water coming through here, it means one of a few things. It either means that the boiler drain has gone down and it's draining the water out onto the floor, so you just need to lift that up again and then wait for it to fill itself back up, and then it will start coming through nice and clear. Or it can mean that you haven't got enough water in your fresh tank. So just make sure that you do those things. If you try and light the boiler up without any water in it, it will overheat, is the reason why you have to do that. So just really important, switch the pump on, make sure you got hot and cold water coming through, and then you're good to go. So you got this switch over here on the right hand side with a little fan symbol. That gives power to the fan and light system under here. So if I turn that fan switch off, as you'll see, these lights go off as well. All right, so you've basically got a switch on the right, which is for the lights, and a switch on the left, which is for the fan. All right, so that's basically how that works there. But if you don't want to use it, you can just have the switch turned off. Right, we've then got in this middle section here, we've got basically your level indicators. All right, so if I press on this one here, it shows us we've got 13 volts in the engine battery. Next one along, 11.1 in the leisure battery. So I've had all these lights on for ages in here now, which is why it's a little bit lower. And then our freshwater level, 72% or 72 litres, I'm not sure. If you can get a hold of the original book for it, it should tell you in there. All the paperwork will be in the vehicle, but yeah, that's your freshwater level there. When the engine's running, you should have this little light here come on, which basically tells you that the split charging system is working. We've then got basically, if your waste tank is full, it should come up here with a little light telling you that it's full, and if your fresh tank is empty, it'll come up with a little light here telling you your fresh tank is empty. If the hookup's plugged in, you should have a little light come up there next to the hookup symbol, and that basically just tells you that the power is coming into the van and it's working. The lower ones you can probably work out, but you've got auxiliary power, which will basically power a certain few things, maybe some ignitions and things like that, but normally not much to it. You know, you might find that you'll go to use something one day and you'll think, oh, actually, maybe I have to have that switch on. Yeah, so that's just random sort of 12 volt bits and pieces. We've then got lighting circuit 1, 2 and 3. So 2 does the lights over the bed there. 1 does your lights over at the front. And then 3 does these ones up here. So it's up to you which ones you have on. And then we've got the awning light switch as well. All right, so pretty straightforward control panel, all working really nicely. So we've got a 3-burner hob. The hob has got the ignition here. All right, So if you want to light any of these up, you've got a little description here, or a little diagram, sorry, showing you which one of these does which burner, basically. So you can press and hold on it as you're using it and it will light up. We've then got underneath there, they've got the fridge. So this is a 3-way fridge made by Electrolux, which I believe is part of the Metic, if I'm not mistaken, or it is now at least. So 3-way fridge, meaning that you can basically use it on 3 different energies. So what we've got is, if I just hold the camera, sorry, we've got 240 volt electric, 12 volt when your engine's running, and gas. So that's the 3 ways that this fridge will work. If you've got the hookup plugged in, you can literally just select 240 volt and leave it. It'll just get cold. That's all you have to do. If you've got the engine running, you can just select 12 volt. That's all you have to do. But if you want to use gas, you do have to do something slightly different. Turn it all the way down to gas, and you'll notice that the little orange symbol over here on the right, the little igniter symbol, will start flashing at you. And that basically means that the igniter is going and the flame isn't on yet. So all you need to do in that situation there is then push in the gas valve just here until that little amber light stops flashing. You then just need to hold it on for a little while to let that thermocouple warm up. And then when you let go of it, as long as that little orange symbol stays off like it is now, it means that the flame's lit. You can then, if you want to, after a couple of minutes, go outside and put your hand over that vent that I showed you earlier on and just check that there's warm air coming out through it. But, you know, that's all there is to it, really. Nice and easy. We've then got this little switch here, which is something that people do sometimes. I think it might have been an extra on these fridges at one time. But you've got a little fan, basically. So if it's seriously hot outside, is normally the reason you would use that. What it does, it basically just gives the back of the fridge a little bit more air circulating around in order to get that fridge cold. The gas should still light up, but sometimes it will just take too, you know, it will struggle to get cold if it's not switched on there with the fan. So just very briefly, because it's not, you know, you normally get the hang of this quite quickly, but the way that these fridges are supposed to actually work is you have to pre-cool it before you leave, basically. So when you're driving, as I said, you switch down to 12 volt just here, but the 12 volt symbol there only really retains the temperature that you've already put inside the fridge. So for example, if you're going to go away tomorrow morning, I would advise you the night before, if you can have a hookup plugged into the van overnight, that's ideal, because that means that your battery will be charged up completely before you leave, and it means that you'll be able to leave it on the mains overnight. But if you can't do that, use the gas, and then by the morning it'll be nice and cold. All you have to do is switch over to 12 volt. And then when you get to where you're going, you should switch back to one of the other 2. So the 12 volt symbol there, the reason you can only use it when your engine's running as well, by the way, is because, as I said up there on the control panel, you've got what's called a split charger or a split relay. And what that essentially does is it splits some of the power off from the alternator under the bonnet whilst you're driving and sends some of it back to the leisure battery as well, and also the fridge. So it means that you can, your leisure battery and your engine batteries are both being charged up by your engine, and it also means that you can keep the fridge cold as you drive. So that's the idea behind that. So you've got the gas oven and grill. So very, very simple. You will need an igniter. Well, maybe not actually, sorry. I was just being impatient. No. So push in and round to the right to hopefully get the grill to light. There you go. Just holding on to that just for a minute to let that warm up. Okay, and then you can let go of that, and that's the grill lit up really nicely. In and round to the left should light up the oven. Any moment. I'll have to have a little look at that igniter in there. But basically, yeah, in and round to the left. Oh, there you go. Lights up the oven. And again, letting go of that basically means that you can then leave it on. So yeah, gas, oven and grill, both working really well. A little bit of storage down here underneath the ovens. Pots and pans, I should think. Okay, so I showed you the boiler is down here underneath this wardrobe. In the actual wardrobe itself, we've got a couple of things to run you through as well. So we've got the book pack for the vehicle up here in this brown box. This is that external water point that I was saying about outside, so that's your hot and cold water point there. The TV aerial booster is this one just here that says status on it. And that's it really for in the wardrobe. Before I forget and carry on with the rest of it, I'm just going to show you through the bathroom. Now the bathrooms don't normally take very long, if I'm completely honest, because the only thing I tend to run you through is the toilet, because the rest of it's literally just hot and cold tap, basically. Hot and cold tap for the shower as well, so it's really simple. So the toilet, apology about the mess just here, this is where I've had to come through for the reversing camera, but toilet is very simple to use. So you've got a button just here which pumps around the fresh water for the drain, for the flush, sorry. Twist this same thing here to drain it out into the cassette, and then twist it back. And that's the way you use this toilet. So you flush it first, use the toilet, drain it out, flush it again, and that's it. So doesn't get much easier than that. Couple of switches just here on the right for the two lights. So you've got one in the shower room, just there, and a couple here overhead as well. So that is the bathroom. Right, so nice layout in this particular van. So you've got the massive overcab bed, really nice lounge area just here with a big size table, bunk beds at the back, got a couple of seats just here as well. So yeah, really cool layout in this one. The TV itself, where it actually goes, is up here behind this little slide out cupboard, and there should be, if I can have a little look, yeah, so at the back there you've got your aerial point plugged in already. So when you have the TV aerial booster switched on in the wardrobe there, that's what gives the signal to that little bit there that the white one's plugged into. So you will have to have that on if you want to use the TV, basically. And the last thing I'm going to run you through is going to be this, which is the boiler. So these are both to do with the boiler. When I say boiler, it's the heating and the hot water at the same time, really. So, so what you've got is a switch just here at the bottom with a blue light on it, which isn't lighting up at the moment because we haven't got the hookup plugged in. So this is if you want to use the hot water on the mains. So if you're hooked up on the mains, switch it down, half an hour or so, you'll have hot water coming through the taps. The top one is how you use the heating system and the boiler on gas. Okay, so on the left hand side we've got 60 or 40. That is literally just telling the boiler what temperature to heat the water up to. So if you want it up at 60, select 60, vice versa. We've then got switching the boiler switch down, lights the boiler up to use it just for making hot water. All right, so going down just does the hot water here at whatever temperature you've set. If you go up to the top, it will then do heating as well. And then you can set your temperature here for the heater. So that heating will basically start pumping through warm air through to any of these little circular beige vents that are dotted around. So there's one down there under the table. There should be one over here as well somewhere. There'll be one in the bathroom. And so yeah, that's how you get the heating to come on. You go up on the right hand switch if you want heating as well. So that's why it's especially important in this particular vehicle that you make sure that you've got water in the boiler, because you can't actually use the boiler without heating the water up as well. So yeah, quite important. So back to the middle, turns the boiler off completely. Make sure you got that one switched off as well, just for good, good practice really. Absolutely stacks of storage over the top on these overhead cupboards. Really nice big sized skylight up top here as well. As I said, we've done the habitation check on this van, so it is all working really nicely. We couldn't really find anything particularly wrong with anything. But yeah, so I think I have covered everything. If there's, I'm just trying to make sure I have. If there's anything you think I've missed out, or anything you want going over again even, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.